One day during the Ice Age, about 30,000 years ago, someone pulled a dugout log or reed boat onto the banks of the Danube River at Willendorf. There, they carved one of the most famous Venus figurines in human history, bathed her in red ochre, and buried her in the earth. To crown this creation, the artist covered her entire head with Europe's most ancient symbol, the humble zigzag. But why do this? Is it hair? Is it a woven cap? Or is it no coincidence that it was carved as 9 coiled rings, mirroring the rings of water and the coils of serpents in our deepest myths? Hello, early risers, late-night stargazers, and everyone in between. In this short documentary, we're tracing her fluid serpentine braid from the Ice Age caves of Europe down the Danube to Nevali, Cori, and Göbekli Tepe. In his personal notebooks, Leonardo da Vinci wrote, "Observe the motion of the surface of the water, how it resembles that of hair, which has 2 motions, one from the weight of the strand and the other from the direction of the eddies." You see that exact same archetype in Southeast Asia with Pre-Pottery, the ancient earth goddess who twists her long braid to wring out a rushing, world-cleansing deluge of sacred water. But these traditions are much older. On painted Neolithic pottery and across the grand frescoes of Minoan Crete, ancient artisans repeatedly drew sacred women and priestesses with 3 streaming serpentine locks of hair cascading from their heads. The universal prehistoric shorthand for flowing wind, rivers, and liquid currents predating creator goddesses like Rhea, whose name comes from the ancient Indo-European root for flowing. The exact same tradition behind the names of so many great rivers across the continent. And where hair flows like water, the ancient world inevitably saw serpents. Long before Greek myths turned Medusa's crown of living snakes into a monstrous thing, serpent hair was the sacred visual code of the primordial deep, living, undulating streams flowing directly from the divine mind. Scholars have spent a century arguing about why Venus of Willendorf has no eyes, no nose, and no mouth. The answer isn't that she represents a starry night or that facial features were forbidden. It's best to consider that the primordial waters have no face. Water is fluid, formless, and ever-moving. On the Danube, a deified waterway in folklore and Proto-Indo-European language, to give the primordial mother a fixed human face would freeze the current, so the sculptor made the same choice as other sculptors along these same waterways. This tradition started 40,000 years ago, but this style has a window that shows as soon as they started it, the idea quickly went downstream to the Black Sea. While other major rivers had their own cultures that didn't start with a D, like the Rhine, the Rhone, which took their names from equivalent roots. Long before the first faceless stone pillars were raised at Gobekli Tepe and inserted into the earth on the highest hill around, a female or androgynous aspect in nature was the formless cosmos before creation. The sweet, living water mingled forever somehow with the salty abyss. She had no face, for the deep has no borders and the current has no static shape. Hesiod said 9 parts of her stream she winds around the wide earth in silver swirls, her body dissolving into the running waters. She was the continuous flow of creation, her fluid geometry etched into memory and into the landscape. Those 9 rings of spiraling zigzags represent the fluid math of birth and motion, the 9 lunar cycles of human gestation, but also the 9-year lunar nodal cycle, where eclipses marked watery celestial birth to our earliest ancestors. When academics debate whether her head depicts a woven net cap or braided hair, they miss that in ancient iconography, hair and flowing water were identical. Consider where these Paleolithic figurines are typically found, clustered along major river highways, revealing a surprisingly unified culture spanning thousands of miles across Ice Age Europe. whether here in Austria's Wachau Valley or nearly 2,000 kilometers east at sites in Russia like Avdivo. Artists, separated by vast distances, were carving the exact same faceless heads wrapped in spiraling serpentine geometry. And she wasn't discarded camp trash. She was found intentionally placed beneath the camp floor, coated in sacred red ochre, a deliberate ritual deposit at a bend in the river, offering a unique chance for the traveler to get their bearings with the pole stars being aligned to the river only here. She was like Rhea, the unceasing current. She was the braided river flowing through the dark limestone valleys. Her hair was the water that nourished the mammoth, her ninefold veil the turning eddy that carved the stone. This exact union of the human head, braided hair, and the fluid serpent appears more than 10,000 years later at the dawn of the Neolithic at Nevali, Cori, one of Göbekli Tepe's sister sites in Turkey, where they carved this famous limestone head. The face was ritually destroyed. All that remains is the shaved skull with a braid of hair meandering down the back in this culture of zigzag serpents. If that hairstyle looks familiar, it should. Across ancient Asia, from the traditions of Eurasian steppe horsemen to the sacred shika locks of Vedic India, shaving the head down to a single spinal braid was the universal code for the coiled serpent energy running up the human backbone. In the east, the dragon was always a water serpent, and the braid down the spine was its living current. It's the same ancestral root for the Medusa motif, and it was shared from the Aegean all the way across Asia, but the symbols were all interchangeable. The hair was the serpent was the flowing water, the zigzag was all of them, as they were all it. It's only a few miles to walk from Nevali Cori over to Göbekli Tepe and its towering, faceless monoliths. As always, the artwork involved vertical V notches, zigzags, and serpentine waterlines. Thales of Miletus declared that water was the arche, the single primordial source of the entire cosmos, which Apophis would have told you before that, emerging as he did with the waters of creation, never being separate from each other. Ninhursag and others represented the flowing serpentine waters even before that. And if you wonder where they got the idea, the ancient biographer Diogenes Laertius stated it outright. There are some who say that the study of philosophy had its beginning among the barbarians. The Greeks were simply giving formal prose to an intuitive 50,000-year-old river wisdom. In fact, if you go back nearly 50,000 years to Bacho Kiro Cave in Bulgaria, the earliest confirmed site of modern Homo sapiens entering Europe, right there in the deepest layers, alongside cave bear tooth pendants, archaeologists uncovered a bone engraved with deliberate, stacked zigzag incisions. Modern humans didn't invent this visual language after arriving in Europe. Our ancestors walked through the front door with the zigzag already in hand. From there, it was carried straight up the Danube corridor into Central Europe, showing up on chevron-carved bones at Einhornhöhle in Germany and in crosshatch forms with more of the number 9 at places like Vogelherd, where the spine could be decorated with this typically water-rich symbol, if not on the womb or other interesting areas. Even if you trace the symbol all the way back to the oldest geometric etchings on the planet, Whether it's the half-million-year-old zigzag etched on a shell on a riverbank in Java, or in Blombo's cave in South Africa where zigzags were carved directly into blocks of red ochre at the ocean's edge, at the moment of the world's first seafood dinners, the zigzag has never left the water. It wasn't a decoration. It was the first visual grammar of change, time, and living motion. And that's why this channel is called God Was Born a Zigzag. If you like this deep dive approach, like and subscribe because this kicks off a series that will go the rest of the year. Have you ever heard of a watery serpent womb? Neither had I, but click on this one to find out more. Thank you.